I'd just be working out right now. That's what I would be doing. Anyways, let's get on with the story, shall we? You pull back on the throttles as the battered Imperial combat armature in your sights begins to glow with the telltale light of a core breach. You shift your weight in your seat, your skin-tight pilot suit stretching as your own Mecha's controls register your movement. Your multi-ton war machine halts just meters in front of the stricken enemy machine at the commands of your flesh and blood body inside the cockpit. With a twist of your legs, your control interface sends the 12 metric tons of your combat armature's legs crashing into the disintegrating enemy machine, sending it careening off into the middle of the enemy formation. With a brilliant, self-annihilating flash, the crippled machine's matter-antimatter core goes critical, taking 2 other hostiles with it. Around you, more enemy machines die as allied mecha pour supporting fire into them, exploiting the hole torn into the enemy formation by your attack. Command has been wise to choose you to lead the attack, for you were an elite ace with 60 kills. Now you have 63. Apparently I'm already a badass. Apparently I don't need training. Their formation shattered. The enemy advance guard flees for the safety for the distant support vessels. Behind you, the main body of the fleet moves up to press the attack, allowing you and your fellow pilots in the advance guard to regroup. You scan your tactical display, hoping to find and rendezvous with your unit. Instead, you find 3 dim energy readings heading away from you, each with the telltale signatures of escape pods. What do? Killing helpless foes would be dishonorable. I'll let them go. I'm a soldier, not a murderer. I don't want to kill anyone I don't have to. Killing them would waste ammunition I could need later. I let them go. I cannot afford to let 3 experienced enemy pilots live. Why should I let those impy bastards live? Kill them all! I'm a soldier, not a murderer. We're definitely not an evil person in this. Have a banana share? I could have had a banana. I mean, I do have bananas. Oh, fair enough, Shadow. Well, good morning, I guess, or good evening, even though you just woke up. Hey, what's up, Derposaurus? Hey, we missed you too. How have you been? You're always welcome here. Sorry, bed so spaced out. Ain't nothing wrong with that, Shadow. I'm sure you'll get your bearings soon enough. You lower your machine's weapon as you watch the 3 Imperial pilots escape to the safety of their fleet's defensive fire. The past 5 years of war between Earth and her colonies have been a traumatizing experience for humanity's collective psyche. You have seen those men and women whose good hearts have been broken by the slaughter, those who could wreak death and destruction without a second thought simply because they no longer saw it as something monstrous. The escape pods of your vanquished opponents disappear off the edge of your sensor display. You breathe a sigh. You are glad that you are not one of them. What are my stats? Wow, our stats are shit. Oh, I have 63 confirmed kills already. Cool. Cool. Hey, no worries, Derposaurus. It'll probably be easier for you to catch me on the weekends. My weekday streams are tough for pretty much all of my regulars to to get hold of. Which makes me think, I don't know, I should maybe make story time like something to do on the weekends, like story time Saturday or something like that. But then we already have so much stuff going on the weekend because I just started CCG Saturday or CCG Sunday. Still haven't decided on that one yet. Hey, lots has happened, Derposaurus. Right now we're in the middle of a Mass Effect 3 playthrough I still have to get through. We're playing a lot of CCGs. We got 3 sort of on the run now since we've just looked at a couple of them this past Sunday. Still super hardcore on the Darkest Dungeon, in the middle of the playthrough for that. I think we're on just coming up on week 80, and still haven't had anyone die in it, so that's pretty cool. We got to get through that as well. I mean, that'll be an ongoing thing. I'll probably be playing Darkest Dungeon just as a staple of my channel for years. Just make up challenges and stuff like that. Hopefully everything's going well with you, Dippersaurus. A voice brings you out of your pensive mood and into the here and now. Are you just going to let them get away like that, boss? The window on your comm screen displays the image of a black-haired, hungry-looking young man with aristocratic features. Wow. Words. Aristocratic features and skin the color of milk tea, his brow furrowed in frustration. Einstein Faradown Asadi, your wingman, possessed of undoubted talent and the instincts of a natural hunter, but vicious. Far too vicious for his own good. You look your wingman in the eye. It doesn't matter if they're enemies or not, Asadi. Killing helpless men and women isn't war, it's murder. Asadi gives a sigh of resignation, as if he were your commanding officer instead of the other way around. I'll have to take your word for it, sir. You nod your head. That's an interesting way to choose your gender. Yeah, I'm getting ready for Emmy Andromeda. We played through 1 and 2 on the channel, and then we're in the middle of 3 right now. We're pretty early in its playthrough, though. I think we're only like 4 or 5 hours in. Maybe a little more. I can't remember. But yeah, we're getting ready to play Andromeda. Whenever we get around to it. It's not like we're rushing through Mass Effect 3 to get to it, but definitely want to get through it at some point. You nod your head. Glad I made myself clear, Asadi, you say, as you look over your main display, beyond your wingman's face and at the battle still raging before you, high above Vedria Prime's surface. Half a decade of war has honed your ability to pick out friend from foe to a razor's edge. Within seconds, you are able to pick out the friendly warships and combat armature units of the fleet as they open up against the main body of the hated enemy. They, like you, fight for the coalition of democratic extrasolar colonies, an alliance of human colonies fighting for independence from the growing tyranny of Old Earth's empire of humanity ascendant. The rebellion itself has been centuries in the making. While the human species had needed strong central authority to govern it during the first uncertain decades of interstellar colonization, the organization that would become the Empire did not adapt to changing realities as Earth's colonies grew into powers in their own right. Ultimately, the result had been a government who claimed to speak for all of humanity, but one which concentrated all power in the 1/7 of the human race that lived within humanity's home system. Instead of delegating power to the ascendant colonies, Old Earth had sought to rein it in its growing children with increasingly restrictive policies. When the outer colonies protested, the Empress and her court responded by stripping entire worlds of their charters and ruling by decree. After that, open rebellion had only been a matter of time. I know, right, Derposaurus? I can't wait to see how crazy we can get Commander Cheekbones, because I know the character creation in that game is pretty insane. Hopefully it will prove to have Commander Cheekbones do justice. In the early days of the rebellion, the forces of Earth's rebellion colonies had been poorly organized and armed with nothing more than improvised weapons, warships, and combat armatures. You had been one of the first volunteers. The moment the concept of colonial revolution became something more concrete, you joined up with the newborn rebellion's ragtag armed forces. You had only one thing on your mind that day, and you joined Codex military as a combat armature pilot for one reason: revenge for what the Empire had done to my family, to support the cause of freedom from the tyranny of Old Earth, to shield those dear to me from the destruction of war, a chance for power, fame, maybe even high office at the end of the war, to kill people with official backing. My homeworld had joined the rebellion. It's my duty to defend her. Yeesh, to kill people with official backing. That's a little psychotic. I think to shield those dear to me from the destruction of war seems like an apt choice. Hey, no way, Shiro. Glad you could say hello. Enjoy the VODs. Have a great rest of your night, Shiro. Exactly, Derposaurus. You gotta have the best cheekbones. Commander Cheekbones, best cheekbones. Ultimately, it wasn't faith in a cause or any burning ambition that spurred you to volunteer, but the grim knowledge of what would happen should the rebellion fail. I'll eat a banana after, Shiro. I should be good. Storytime Tuesdays are only a couple of hours of streaming because it's hard on the voice, so it's okay. I'll be fine, Shiro. Thanks for the concern. Have a great rest of your night. He knew full well that the Civil War was soon to begin would be one fought with devastating weapons and destructive machines. The systems which served as battlefields for the campaigns had yet to begin would soon to be filled with burning wreckage. Its cities would be reduced to ruins by orbital bombardment, its people starved by the cutting off of trade, its psyche shattered by the constant and ever-present sector of death on a mass scale. As a resident of one of the systems furthest away from the fighting, you knew that your family and friends would only be safe if the enemy were kept as far away from your home as possible. It was for that reason you joined Codec, to protect the lives of your friends, family, and neighbors. Over the next 5 long years of war, you watched Codec's military turn into a cohesive fighting force capable of facing the Imperial war machine on even terms. During that time, you became one of Codec's most elite pilots, most famously known for single-handedly destroying 3 Imperial warships at the Battle of Crown Station, protecting a civilian convoy from repeated enemy attacks during the retreat from Toulon. No single act, but for my passionate devotion to everything I do. No single act, but for my utter reliability and unbroken history of excellent service. I think it'd be pretty badass to be known for an event. I think we'd protect a civilian colony or a convoy. Sounds like us. It had happened in the first few chaotic months of the war before Kodak had really gotten its act together. The Imperials pushed hard into colonial space and managed to throw the ramshackle rebel garrison from Toulon. In the uncoordinated madness of that retreat, you had found yourself protecting a dozen civilian transports alone against 3 full lances of Imperial combat armatures. Somehow you had managed to hold off the enemy and get the convoy away without a single evacuation transport lost. You scored your 5th kill and made ace that day. High Command gave you a decoration for valor after that, the first of many. But the greatest reward of all was that knowing your actions had saved over 50,000 lives. Jesus, that's a big convoy. With the other 5 combat armatures of your lance rallying behind your machine, you look for a target of opportunity. An opportunity to throw your unit back into the fight. Your keen eyes soon find one. The telltale thruster trails of Imperial M401 Phantoms, the most basic combat armature still fielded by the Imperial military. There are perhaps 24 in all, moving forward in an attempt to outflank the advancing Kodak fleet. You turn to your wingman again. He meets your gaze, a vicious grin on his lips. It is clear that he has the same opportunity you have. More work, boss man? You nod. More work. Pilots, rally on me and prepare to attack. You look around your cockpit, going through the practice motions of pre-combat check. You know Asadi and the other members of your lance will be doing the same. For them, such a check would be a formality, but you've just come out of battle and you go through every item on the checklist in earnest, looking for minor damage from your previous skirmish, a mechanical failure alert, or any other pressing issues. Finally, you ensure that your machine's primary weapon is in working order. You quickly check the heatsink status of my long-range particle rifle, power linkages on my sword-like plasma cutter, ammunition levels on my versatile autocannon. Well, this is probably going to be... this is easily foreshadowing onto what we're going to be using down the road. I feel like I don't want to be in a situation where my plasma cutter gets out of whack. Because I feel like the plasma cutter is a backup weapon that we use if we get caught in a bad situation. Don't really want that messing up. You skim through the weapon power display, making sure that each of the 4 linkages on the screen show green. With a press of a button, the familiar hilt of your plasma cutter slots into the right hand of your CA-82 Uxbridge. It is the work of a half a second and a burst of your Venria thrusters to assume a classic fencer's pose. You touch the activator and a bright blade of blue flames blazes forth from the emitter, long enough and intense enough to bisect an enemy combat armature in a single stroke. It is this formidable weapon, along with the Uxbridge's incredible speed and your own piloting skills, which have made you one of Kodak's premier aces over the years, a reputation which grows with every battle. Of course, it helps that your machine isn't exactly factory standard. Over the years, you've made a few modifications to your increasingly obsolete Mecha. At first, they were just a few minor touches. New cockpit displays, a climate control unit, leather upholstery, stuff like that. It wasn't until you'd scored your 25th kill in the 3rd year of the war that Command had given you permission in order to customize what you had really wanted, namely, upgraded thrusters, which make my Uxbridge more agile, improved sensors, which help me keep an eye on the battlefield, cockpit armor, which makes me feel safer and more confident in battle, a custom paint job to encourage my allies and strike fear into the enemy. I feel like that last one's not as practical. Armor and sensors are probably best. I feel like armor. Let's go with armor. Let's make sure we can actually take some shots. I like to be tanky. If you look closely enough, you can even see the hexagonal outlines of the synth carbon armor panels behind the rectangular shapes of your cockpit displays. Although of limited use against combat armature scale weaponry, the extra layer of protection has always been a calming influence. Knowing that you have done everything you can to make your job as safe as possible has done wonders for your peace of mind. Well, it's nice to know that it has limited uses. This is lead, you report. Ready for battle. This is 2, Asadi responds, his voice as cocky as ever. Locked, loaded, and ready to roll. After you're a wingman, the 4 other pilots of your lance report themselves ready for battle as well. The whole process takes mere moments. Your unit is comprised of some of Codex's most promising pilots, each eager to prove themselves alongside a famed ace such as yourself. By following your example over the 2 years you've led them, your strengths have become their strengths. Unfortunately, your weaknesses have become theirs as well. In a way, perhaps they are disciples of your own unique combat style. Like every lance in Codex's military, your unit has a distinctive name, one which you picked yourself. Wolf Lance, Comet Lance, Mithril Lance, Titan Lance. Something more original than that. I like Titan Lance. Titan Lance sounds badass. Titans are cool. Alright, Titan Lance. Form up on me and follow my lead. Your unit forms behind your combat armature with the grace of a ballet. They fly newer machines than your trusty old Uxbridge, CA-108 Grenzers and CA-109 Raiders. Models superior to your own, but strange and overcomplex to pilots used to the simplicity of Codex's first generation of combat armatures. With your lance now flying in readiness behind your machine, you request authorization to begin the attack. Caliburn, this is Titan Lead. Copy? You glance at the lean, knife-like hull of the CWS Caliburn as you send your message. The ship is almost brand new, one of Codex's first purpose-built warships, a far cry from the hastily armed freighters and makeshift carriers you've spent most of the war on. A moment later, you get a reply. This is Caliburn, actual, barks a brisk contralto. What do you want, Titan Lead? You wince a little at the hard tone at the other end of the line. Captain Balin of the Caliburn may be an excellent soldier and tactical genius, but her interpersonal skills have much to be desired. Caliburn, requesting permission to attack contacts marks Delta 552 on scope, about 20 or so, mostly Phantoms. Granted, Titan Lead. Good hunting. Received and acknowledged. Caliburn, actual out. You remain expressionless as you open the throttle and fly towards your targets. You take little joy in this endless killing, but there is a job to be done. As you approach the enemy formation, your keen tactician's mind takes over. Honed to a fine edge over dozens of battles, skirmishes, and duels, you pick out your options even as your machine advances on the Imperial force at top speed. The most obvious choice would be to hit the enemy head-on, but such a move would put you at the head of the formation where you will draw the most fire and stand the most chance of colliding into an enemy machine. You would need an iron will and nerves of titanium to do such a thing. Alternatively, you could attack the enemy commander first, relying on superior piloting skill to quickly destroy or disable his machine, leaving his subordinates confused and uncoordinated. Another option would be to find a weak point in the enemy's formation and exploit it, something that would need excellent situational and tactical awareness. Lastly, you could attempt to strike fear into the enemy by hitting them with a showy, intimidating first strike. You would need one hell of a flair for the melodramatic to sell it, but it might make the enemy hesitate just long enough for you and your unit to win the fight. Ultimately, you decide to play your strengths and choose to trust your iron will and charge the enemy head-on, rely on my brilliant piloting skills to take out the enemy commander, use my tactical genius and eagle eyes to exploit a weakness in the enemy formation, rattle the enemy with a dramatic ambush. Do we have stats that are going to be reflecting in that? Wow, how are we more of a diplomat? Let's see. Speed 3, armor. Wow, our armor's pretty terrible. All right, well, let's not charge in. Let's rely on our brilliant piloting skills. Let's hope that they'll be fleeing after the commander gets taken out. You pick out the enemy commander easily enough. Imperial Commander variant Mecha are hardly inconspicuous with their golden trim and ostentatious ornamentation. All right, Titan Lance, I'll take out the command unit. When you see him go down, follow me in. You dial down your throttle, letting simple inertia send you towards the enemy units. Your own subordinates follow behind you, keeping a similarly low profile. You are almost within weapons range when the enemy spots your machine. You power up your thrusters as the Imperial throw up a hasty wall of defensive fire. Your machine twists and dances through the storm of enemy bullets, twirling through the firestorm at your skilled command. The enemy fire grows wilder and more panicked as you careen ever closer, but you are the master of your craft and they cannot stop you. The enemy command unit rushes to engage you with its melee weapons as you close, but you are ready. Your plasma blade flashes out before the enemy can move to strike you. sending the Imperial machine's weapon and forearm flying into the void of space. Your next stroke cuts the enemy machine in two. With their commander out of the fight, the Imperial formation loses cohesion, just in time for the remaining 5 Mecha of Titan Lance to join the battle, guns blazing. You are in your element. Here, the Uxbridge's melee-focused armament and incredible speed truly begin to shine. Your machine twirls from one enemy to another, plasma blade rending metal and ceramic armor with each lightning slash. Some of the Imperials try to escape the burning reach of your agile machine, but not even the quickest of their machines can escape you. One by one, you cut down your foes. All around you, your units fight with the skill and ferocity you've come to expect of them. Slowly, the Imperial defense begins to crumble. However, just as the tide starts turning in your favor, your fatal weakness rears its ugly head. You are Oh. Okay, so I guess there's no way to avoid getting blindsided by something. Blindsided by an enemy who I did not detect in time, or losing the ability to command the other pilots in my lance. Let's say blindsided. I did pick the armor, so maybe that'll help out anyways. Getting the combat shakes. The warning is what saves you. You're on the tail of an Imperial machine trying to get a clean shot in when Titan 3's face suddenly appears on your main display, her freckled face a mask of alarm. Sir! Behind you! You turn your machine around just in time to see an Imperial machine flying towards you at a full speed, its monosaber held in front of it like a fencer. You barely have time to push your machine to the side in a gut-punching high-G maneuver before your attacker roars past, lunging at the spot where you had been not a split second before. The second the enemy is past you, your combat instincts take over. You extend your Uxbridge's free hand, latching onto the enemy mech. Your teeth grind as the enemy machine's passing momentum twists your own mecha around in a tight arc, and you slam the blade of your superheated plasma into the mecha's other hand deep into your opponent's vital systems. As the Imperial craft begins to shudder and glow with the telltale signs of a core breach, you kick the wreckage of the enemy craft away and take a deep breath to calm your pounding heart. Thanks for the save, Titan 3. Titan 3 gives an impish little grin. Not a problem, boss. With your head clear, you take another look at your sensor display, only to find it devoid of enemies. Titan Lance? I'm not reading any hostiles on scope. Confirm? One by one, the faces of your lance mates appear on the communications display. Each of them confirms. There are no enemies left within sensor range. Maybe we got them all? Titan 6 theorizes, with only the barest hint of conviction. I got one. So did I, Titan 3 chirps cheerfully. Asadi seems smug. I got 3. He turns to you. How many did you get, boss? You think for a moment. 6? Maybe 7? Somewhere in that area, I guess. Your wingman's expression is not amused. You can tell that he's going to relish the day that he matches you kill for kill. In the meantime, you have a dozen enemy machines unaccounted for. A moment later, another message comes in. It's the Caliburn. You open the comm line. The faces of your 5 lancemates are replaced by Captain Balin's stern, battle-scarred scowl. Titan lead. Status report. Engage the enemy. No losses on our end, but let me guess. The enemy force just up and disappeared on you? You nod. The captain responds with a look that might as well have said, I thought as much. Our sensor logs tracked about a dozen of them breaking off right before your lance hit them. They linked up with another lance and dropped planet-side. Apparently, they're headed for a high-priority objective on the planet's surface. Your new orders are to go in after them and secure that objective. I'm setting you the coordinates now. The coordinates point to a civilian district, with not a single known military target within 100 kilometers. Captain, what exactly are you sending us into? Balin shakes her head sharply. You're not cleared to know. That's bullshit, you blurt out. You're just going to send us in blind? The captain fixes you with a stern look. Titan lead, I'm not even cleared to know. Just get it done. Caliburn, actual, out. Well, that was hardly helpful. That's not good. Hidden agendas in military. Never a good sign. What was that about? Asadi asks as soon as you reopen communications with your lance. New orders, you reply. Rig up for re-entry. I'm sending you the coordinates. Asadi's face lights up in anticipation. More fighting, boss? Not all of your lancemates share your wingman's enthusiasm. Some seem nervous. Titan 5 even seems outright disgusted by Asadi's eagerness. How do you respond? Aggressively. I want my lancemates just as fired up as I am. Neutrally. I don't want to upset anyone. Reluctantly. I've killed more than enough people today already. Reluctantly. We don't like killing. I hope not. I think I've spilled enough blood for one day. Your wingman shoots you with a malicious little grin. I could stand to spill a little more. One by one, the members of your lance report themselves ready for atmospheric drop. Your main display shuts off, obscured by the layer of a blot of heat gel which will protect your combat armature with the heat of re-entry. You position your machine over the drop coordinates, flying on sensors alone. Commencing re-entry, you announce. Titan Lance, follow me in. With that, you and your lance begin the blind descent into Vedria's Prime's atmosphere. Episode 2, Into the Lion's Den. Codex's secret weapon. New Rodrigo City, Vedria Prime, Vedria System. Your lance makes landfall on the surface of Vedria Prime with all the subtlety of rolling thunder on a clear summer day. Your ears ring with the crash of 65 metric tons of Mecha hitting the ground, a cataclysmic racket after spending so long in the soundless vacuum of space. You bring up one mechanized hand to wipe the re-entry gel from your external visors. Your hands move to the controls and wiggle your machine's arms and legs around experimentally, readjusting yourself to planetary gravity. All around you, you know your lance is doing the same. One after the other, they report their machines functional and ready for battle. With most of the opaque heat gel that protected your craft during re-entry now puddling around your combat armature's feet, you look through your main display and get a clear view of your surroundings. A single look is all you need to know that the Imperials have already done a real number on the city in their short time here. All around you, the debris of war stands mute testament to the virulence of the last few minutes. The streets are choked with flipped and crushed vehicles. One building just ahead of you sports a gaping hole where an Imperial machine clearly walked through it. Another has been reduced to a burnt-out ruin, its concrete walls pockmarked by the watermelon-sized craters of high-caliber autocannon shells. Buildings and cars aren't the only things wrecked on the ground either. Splatters of blood mark the last positions of civilians unfortunate enough to be caught in the destruction. There is little left of a human body after being stepped on by a multi-ton war machine. The Imperials did not linger. They did not have to. A combat armature unit could cause mass destruction simply by moving through a populated area. You could see more columns of smoke and wrecked buildings all around you. Asadi's face appears on your display, his handsome face a contorted mask of rage. Bastards! Attacking civilians like this! We should make them suffer! Asadi's right. We should make the Imperials pay for this. We shouldn't jump to conclusions. Asadi is letting his heart rule his head. He needs to calm down. Yeah, probably. We don't want to let emotions get in the way of things. Settle down, Asadi. We don't know for sure if the Imperials did this on purpose. Asadi grits his teeth in anger. Are you saying those impy scum did this by accident? You nod your head. Do you know how much damage a unit of 60-ton combat armatures can do when pilots are in a hurry? A lot more than this. Your wingman bites back an angry response. He takes a deep breath. Understood, boss. Titan 3's face pops up on your main display. Boss, we may have a complication. Your subordinate links her machine's cameras with your own. Through Titan 3's hull sensors, you see a small group of civilians gathered around the contorted form of a child trapped under a block of fallen concrete. You watch 3 move forward and extend the arm of her combat armature. Gingerly, like a child picking up a penny, she lifts up the heavy block, allowing the civilians to pull out the trapped boy. You smile a little, your heart warmed by the fact that despite years of war, the men and women under your command still have their hearts in the right place. Titan 3's expression is nervous as she maneuvers her machine back into formation, the civilians' cheers and cries of gratitude audible from your link to her cockpit. There's probably more civilians in distress out there. What do we do if we come across more? You think about your options as you bring the rest of your lance into the conversation. Stopping to help every local in distress may make you feel better, but every minute you spend freeing trapped children and injured seniors means that the enemy are another minute closer to achieving their objective. On the other hand, your ultimate job as a soldier is to protect and defend Codex citizens. It could be said that your responsibility to do so supersedes the immediate mission. After a moment, you decide that we should help any civilians we come across. We won't be able to stop and help, but we can move carefully to prevent more damage. We have a job to do, and it won't be done, civilians be damned. I know, right, Shadow? What a hero. And we're going to continue that heroism because screw the military. We don't even know why we're going into this place. They're not even telling us. So why the hell should we follow their orders? Screw it. We're going to save civilians. We should help any civilians we come across. Heads up, Titan Lance. There are still civilians in the area, so we need to move carefully to prevent any more damage. If any of you come across non-combatants needing help, let me know and we'll give them a hand. Asadi objects almost immediately. Is this a joke, boss? He asks, his voice incredulous. I'm serious, Einstein, you reply, emphasizing your wingman's inferior rank. Our first duty is to the people of the colonies. Everything else is subordinate to that, even our orders. Asadi gives a non-committal grunt. He is clearly displeased with your orders. Thankfully, he doesn't disobey them when you continue to stop and aid civilians, that you can tell that your wingman is holding back no small amount of impatience. Exactly, Shadow. Stick it to the man. And stick it to Asadi, because Asadi is a sort of a dick. Well, maybe he's not a dick. He just likes to fight. Your halting journey seems to take an eternity. The paths left by the enemy machines are obvious, but you seem to stop every other step for the sake of another local in distress. Eventually, stopping to aid every civilian in need begins to grate on your patience. Finally, you and your lance track the Imperial Mecha to the entrance of a large subterranean passage, wide enough for 3 or 4 combat armatures to enter abreast. Judging by the wreckage of armored vehicles and bodies strewn in front and just inside the entrance, your courier waits somewhere within. All right, Titan Lance, this looks like the place. Weapons at the ready. You slowly move your Uxbridge into the darkened passage downwards. Follow my lead. So this is going to bite us in the butt at some point. Generally, with these stories, if you choose one option, generally there's some sort of downside to it. The 6 machines of your lance push forwards into the darkness, weapons at the ready and expecting a fight. You don't find one. Instead, you find the passage splitting into a series of tunnels, each stretching into the darkness far beyond the light thrown out by your hall-mounted searchlights. This particular underground complex is larger than you had first thought. Just great, Asadi says. What the hell do we do now? Oh yeah, sure, I can probably do that. Maybe? If I go to the menu, can I just like resume? It does not look like it can. Let's see. Can I zoom in? No. Let me think here. Go like that. Let me see if I can zoom in with a filter. Crop, scroll, scaling, maybe? Why is color correction on there? Oh well. No. Resolution, that'd be negative. Crop? No, it wouldn't be. No, it doesn't look like I can. I definitely thought you could for these. I guess not. Is it that hard to read? Although you're probably reading on mobile, huh, Shadow? So yeah, sorry about that. I definitely thought you could. You weigh your options. A codec tactical doctrine would normally require you to sweep through each and every passage as a unit, proceeding slowly to forestall any attempted ambush. Of course, these are not normal circumstances. With time of the essence, it might be better to split up and cover each of the passages individually. Then again, there's always your own experience and intuition to rely on. You could simply try to track the enemy forces using your own skills. Yeah, safer as a group. I feel like splitting up is never a good thing to do. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Shadow. Yeah, I really wish it was like in the browser, because in the browser I could manually zoom in, but yeah, it's weird that they don't have a text option on these. Definitely thought they would. All right, form up, Titan Lance. We do this one by the numbers. Check your corners and keep your eyes peeled. With the precision of veteran soldiers, your lance forms up behind you, weapons at the ready and covering every angle, your searchlight shining out in every direction. Slowly but surely, you advance down each corridor, keeping an eye out for any sign of enemy activity. You find bullet-riddled bodies, crushed weapon emplacements, and metal sliced into pieces by the telltale perfect cuts of monomolecular blades. Still, you find no sign of the enemy. You lead your lance down passage after passage, until finally, after what seems like half an eternity, you turn around the corner to find lights flickering in the distance. Someone else's. With a gesture of your machine's gargantuan hand, you signal your lance to stop. Dialing down your throttle to a minimum possible, you creep forward, trying to make as little sound as possible in hopes of getting a better view. You blink in amazement as your eyes adjust to the light. Before you is a massive cylindrical subterranean vault, perhaps 100 meters tall and 3 times as wide. On the far end of the vault, you see more mangled bodies and crushed armored vehicles. Among them stand the Imperial combat armatures which you have been pursuing. Unfortunately, it seems the enemy has had plenty of time to set up proper defensive positions thanks to your delays in pursuing them. You see sentries on guard around the main position, all covered by overlapping fields of fire. The enemy pilots you will be facing will be alert and prepared for battle. As you quickly run through a tactical assessment of the Imperial machines, something else catches your eye. Behind all the shapes of the enemy lines lies a supine pile of metal, gleaming white under the harsh lights of the Imperial machines. It is clear that this is what the enemy force is after. You zoom in on your whole camera feed to get a closer look at it. The heap of white metal soon coalesces into the familiar shape of combat armature, but it is unlike any mecha you have ever seen before. Its lines are smoother and more rounded than the makeshift form of your own Uxbridge, but it is clearly of a different breed than the Imperial units around it. Your eyes catch on the insignia on the shoulder of the unidentified machine. Your eyes widen as you recognize the decal of the designation marker for a Kodak military prototype. It does not take an idiot to put 2 and 2 together. The identity of the high-priority objective, which Captain Balin told you about, is now blatantly clear. You beat a stealthy retreat and return to the shadows where you confer with your lancemates without fear of discovery. It's a prototype machine, you tell your lancemates as you feed them the recording of your machine's sensors. That's why the Imperials broke in here, to capture that combat armature. Asadi says exactly what everyone else must be thinking. We have to get it back. Stolen prototype in enemy hands could be disastrous, and not only because the Imperials could easily turn its advanced weapons against your allies in orbit or the civilians on the ground. Should the Imperials reverse engineer Codex's cutting-edge experimental equipment, they would be that much closer to getting a technological edge which might even win them the war. Asadi is right. You have to get it back. You lay out your options for the benefit of your lancemates. The most obvious option would be a direct frontal assault on the enemy position. With your previous decision to keep your unit together, you are more than ready to strike immediately, before the enemy can further reinforce the defenses or discover your presence, an added advantage. Alternatively, you could try to use the twists and turns of the darkened passages to lure your enemy into an ambush set by the rest of the machines in your lance. Lastly, you could try bluffing your enemy into surrendering or retreating by making the enemy think that they are outnumbered and surrounded. Boss? Titan 3 speaks up. There is one more thing we could try. She scratches her head nervously as you gesture for her to continue. Well, our machines have remote-controlled systems to fly us to safety if we get knocked out or something, right? What if you use your command codes to interface with that prototype and remote pilot it out? It'd make for a nice little distraction, at least. Titan 3's idea certainly has merit. Of course, there is the fact that you'd have to effectively pilot 2 combat armatures at once to pull it off. Ultimately, you decide to make a frontal assault, lure the enemy into an ambush, bluff the enemy into fleeing or surrendering, or remote hijack the prototype unit. Feel like fleeing or surrendering they won't do. Luring the ambush might be good, but we did stick together. Maybe frontal assault would be better? No, we could try Titan 3's. Remote hijack the prototype unit. Yeah, sure. If anything, I can blame her, I guess, if it goes wrong. Seems like the most fun, too. Hey, we got an achievement. Thankfully, now that you know about the codec prototype, you can simply connect with its command and communication system from your current position. You activate your Uxbridge's networking system and probe for open codec systems. Flipping past the active connection nodes of your lancemates, you find an unfamiliar node, the prototype. You order your machine's tactical computer to connect to the inactive machine's own system. You enter your 16-digit command codes when the prompt comes up, hoping that your codes will give you the clearance to access the necessary systems. Luckily, the remote accessed combat armature's computer accepts your authorization and begins activating. Even better, a quick glance at the experimental model's status screens reveal that the machine's remote sensors and piloting controls are both installed and integrated. In fact, every single primary and secondary system in the entire machine is reading as ready for action. You wonder how close to completion this prototype was before its development was disrupted by the Imperial attack. Asadi's curiosity finally gets the better of him. Any good, boss? His face lights up when you give him and the rest of your lancemates the news. I don't suppose an active remote-controlled weapon system would be too much to hope for, would it? If you could use the prototype's weapons as well as its piloting systems, then the havoc your diversion would be able to wreak would increase dramatically. Hoping against hope, you take a look. Primary weapon system, ammunition capacity, 2 out of 12. Status active, awaiting remote control. Well, how about that? Feeding the prototype's cockpit displays into your own and those of your lancemates, you make a quick scan of the Imperial formation from the perspective of the deactivated prototype machine. Taking care not to move any physical components and tip off your enemies, you quickly identify 3 possible targets. The most obvious targets are the enemy Mecha at the very edge of the Imperial formation. By taking out the units who would normally engage your own lands first, you would be able to wreak a lot more havoc before any other machines in the Imperial force could reposition to attack you. However, if your attack falters, the enemy would still be in a position to wipe you out. Only slightly less obvious is the chamber itself. One of the support columns keeping the ceiling up has been obviously damaged in the Imperial attack. Should you destroy it entirely, it would likely drop a big enough chunk of the roof to crush everything under it, including at least 5 or 6 enemy machines. Of course, you are also right below a city. Collapsing a part of the ceiling might also bring the civilian buildings over it down as well. The cost in civilian lives and property damage would be staggering. Lastly, there is the unit which had singled itself as belonging to the Imperial commander. Unlike most of the other units, it boasts the distinctive lines of an M414 Grognard. It is a machine assigned only to the best of the Imperial military. A boss? Asadi's expression seems to be a combination of apprehension and anticipation. You think you can clear me a path to that command unit? I've never fought a Grognard before. They say that those things are better than anything we have. I want to see for myself. What will you target? Sure, we'll give Asadi the battle he wants. I know, right, Shadow? It's pretty crazy. Gotta do what you gotta do, though. Or actually, so wait, do we want to shoot the enemy perimeter guards? So he can go, because he said he wants a path clear, not exactly for me to shoot the enemy commander. How do we get Asadi to fight him? Hey, no worries, Shadow. Time period. I don't think it said the time period. I mean, it's just quite off in the future, I guess, where they have space travel and mechas and stuff like that. I don't know if the store page has. Yeah, the store page doesn't even say the date. It's just sometime in the future, I guess. We'll attack the commander. Lance, attack on my order. You carefully calibrate the prototype's targeting computer and set its weapon's crosshairs on the Imperial command mecha. For a moment, you take a closer look at the cutting-edge enemy machine. You've heard stories about the M414 Grognard, about how it has matched everything in Codex's arsenal thus far. If you could disable or even destroy it now, you may be able to save your lance a lot of grief. Hoping that whatever weapon the prototype has been equipped with is powerful enough and accurate enough to do the job, you slave the fire controls to your own machine and squeeze the trigger. The gleaming prototype machine springs to life. With its movements as fast as lightning, the mysterious combat armature springs into a firing stance. The prototype's weapon flares with energy, bathing the chamber in pale blue light. A pulsing beam, visible for a split second, fires from the prototype and hits the grognard dead center in the chest. The enemy machine tumbles back, a massive black crater marring its frontal armor. Before it can regain its balance, you shift your aim and fire again. The shot goes through and downs the formidable enemy machine for good. Titan Lance! Charge! Your unit springs into action, pouring into the chamber and engaging the distracted perimeter guards. Asadi shoots you a dirty look as he advances to attack. Apparently he wanted to fight that command unit more than he had let on. Oh, well, sorry. With your lancemates engaging the enemy directly, you are free to move around the remote-controlled prototype machine to safety, but you barely move it 2 steps before a pair of Imperial pilots finally catches on. Vaulting over the melee with the vernier thrusters, the 2 enemies rush to attack you. You disconnect your machine's controls from the prototype and prepare to defend yourself. By the time you get your Uxbridge's weapons out, your enemy are just 100 meters in front of you, their autocannons at the ready and pointed at your cockpit. What do you do? Get some distance and attack from range, up close and personal. I'm trying to find a way to fight dirty. We like our blade. Yeah, like our first weapon's a plasma cutter. Oh, it's cool. Cool descriptions. Close and personal. You open the throttle as far as it will go, sending your Uxbridge barreling towards the enemy, plasma cutter at the ready. The first Imperial pilot doesn't even have a chance to react before you ram a 12-meter long stream of superheated plasma into his cockpit. You try not to think about your counterpart's last instant as he is immolated in his cockpit by your plasma blade. By the time you get to your second enemy, he is ready for you, his mono-saber held in front of him like a fencer's foil. The Imperial parries your first swing and barely dodges your second, but when you hop your Uxbridge backwards in a classic feint, your opponent takes the bait, lunging forward into the whip-like slash of your plasma blade. Yeah, Asadi's sort of a dick. You look around for fresh enemies, only to find the battle nearly over. All throughout the chamber, you see your lancemates finishing off the last remnants of the enemy force. The scars and scorch marks on both fallen machines and the chamber walls bear mute testament to the viciousness of the fighting. You call up your lancemates. Titan Lance, casualty check. Miraculously enough, your lance has taken no losses. Though many of your units Mecha are damaged to some extent or another, you've made it through without losing a single pilot. Nice. There is, however, no time to celebration. The job isn't done yet. You order your lance to secure the perimeter as you turn to the top-secret prototype Mecha. Suddenly, you receive a new comm line for the Caliburn marked High Priority. Captain Balin's face pops up on the display as you open the line. Titan Lead, status report? We followed the enemy force to an underground complex and engaged them. No losses on our end. Captain Balin seems to have no interest in casualty counts. The objective, is it secured? You link the captain to your Mecha's hull cameras and point them at the limp form of the white prototype machine. That depends. Is that our objective? The captain shrugs, her scowl even deeper than usual. Apparently, I'm not clear to know. You get a feeling that she doesn't like being left in the dark any more than you do. It looks important, though. Does that thing have standard remote control functions? You check the link you had used to hijack the prototype machine earlier. Everything still seems to be working as intended. Looks like it, ma'am. Balin gives you a joyless little nod. Good. Set that thing to fly up into the Caliburn for recovery. I want the rest of your lance securing the area and tying up loose ends, and I don't want you to escort this machine up. Understood? By the time the Caliburn's commanding officer is finished speaking, you are already preparing your machine for space. Understood, ma'am. Episode 3. Enter the Black-Blue Mask, A Clash of Aces. This will probably be the last chapter. I also want to make these shorter anyways. I don't want to record a lot. Mainly because it actually does hurt my voice speaking this much. But also I'm going to be uploading these to YouTube, I think. If I keep them an hour and a half, it's a good way to get some YouTube stuff out there. And since it's mostly just me reading text, I think a lot of people would like to watch it and then they can catch up as well if they want to catch some of the recent stuff. Because we'll be doing this story for until it's done. Orbit over Vedria system, or Vedria Prime, Vedria system. Yeah, exactly, Shadow. Gives me some more content to put out there and just easier for you guys to check things out. You take a long, peaceful moment to savor the airless quiet of space as your bridge breaks free from Vedria's atmosphere, flying close to the autopiloted prototype machine which you and your Lance had fought so hard to secure. Vedria in orbit looks far less peaceful than it sounds, though it lacks the thunderous rattle of autocannon and the mechanical whines of burning Venrios which so dominate the audio escape of surface combat. The battle raging in orbit is of a greater magnitude than the skirmish you just left behind you. Here, the half-kilometer-long warships of the Caliburns battle group push back against the attacking Imperial task force, pouring fire at each other at close range. In the distance, you see the elite elements of the enemy force begin to retreat from the battle as the Caliburn and her consort salvo wave after wave of megaton range warheads at the Imperials. Before long, the entire Imperial force begins its slow, lumbering withdrawal. It seems that the battle in orbit is slowly, irrevocably being won. How do you feel about that? Jealous. I could have gotten more kills if I stayed in orbit. Disappointed. Titan Lance could have helped end this battle faster. Proud. We've done it. We protected Verdria from the Imperials. Sad. I know far too many people have been killed today. Doesn't matter. We did our duty. We earned our pay. We didn't die. Good enough for me. I think in that situation we'd be proud. Exactly, Shadow. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. It'd be nice. But I can't imagine how hard it would be to like do audiobooks because you have to record like probably 6+ hours of stuff a day. And it's like, man, even just an hour, hour and a half of talking constantly is hard on the voice. Your heart swells with pride as the Imperial fleet begins to slink away in defeat. You know that you and your allies should be proud of all that you have done and all the lives that you have saved this day. Below you, the blue jewel of Vedria still shines, its surface and its inhabitants mostly unscathed. Despite the damage your Lance and the Imperials you fought on the surface have done to New Rodrigo City, you know that the devastation and death toll would have been orders of magnitude higher that had the Imperials had been given free rein to bombard the planet's surface with their heavy anti-ship missiles, each tipped with warheads capable of leveling entire towns. As you continue onwards towards the Caliburn, you look down below at the planet's surface and wonder if the people living there will ever realize how much they owe the Codec fleet. The sharp beeping of the proximity alarms pulls you out of your thoughts and back into the battle. Your tactical display shows two contacts with hostile markers heading straight for you and the prototype you are escorting. A closer look reveals them to be nothing more than a pair of M401s, carrying only the most basic equipment. What's more, they're flying straight and slow, the mark of new and undertrained pilots. You had been like them once, thrown into battle in the first frantic weeks of the war with only a few dozen hours of training. The Imperials had decimated your fellow Codec pilots then, but those that survived had gone to become battle-hardened veterans. That was years ago. Now it is these luckless Imperials who find themselves outmatched by you. The enemies close in with the eagerness of untested amateurs. You know that the very lowest rung of the Imperial military is made up mostly of conscripts. You also know that even non-hardened pilots can do a great deal of damage if you do not respond immediately. As the Imperial Mecha enter weapons range and prepare to attack, you make the decision to evade them, fire off a few pot shots to scare them off, and attack them and make sure neither enemy machine escapes. Alright, to be honest, I feel like we would attack them. Actually, no, we just don't want them coming over here. We'll just scare them off. Hopefully that's good enough. They're rookies. You don't want to kill all of them. Oh yeah, for sure, Shadow. Oh yeah, no, I've done like a short story on my YouTube channel actually before. It'd be nice to do more of those. You snap up the barrel of your autocannon as the Imperials prepare to open fire. You squeeze the trigger first. A quick burst flies between the two enemy machines, tracers burning bright in the black of space. For a second, your opponents do not budge, continuing to approach, their autocannon leveled in your general direction. Taking no chances, you prepare to fire again, this time in deadly earnest. After a moment, both Imperials scramble away, their flight paths erratic. Apparently, you had mistaken their panic for resolve. Chuckling at the incompetence of your would-be attackers, you continue on your way. A moment later, you receive a message from the Caliburn. Titan lead, we're prepping Hangar B to receive the package. Status report? You consider your brief encounter with the enemy, then shake your head. Nothing dangerous, Captain. Good. Keep me informed. Caliburn out. You're getting close to the Caliburn now. It would only take a few more minutes to get the prototype machine to the carrier's hangar bay, but as you approach safety, you also fly closer and closer to the battle itself. At this distance, you can make out the shapes and forms of individual mecha. You watch as an allied lance of Grenzers streak across the sky ahead of you and fire their particle rifles into the side of a retreating Imperial light cruiser. Needles of pale blue light pierce through the enemy warship, and it soon falls behind the retreating Imperial formation, plasma and atmosphere bleeding from its drive pods. Your eyes are pulled away from the sight pulled from the sight by a call from the surface. Boss? Asadi's face appears on screen. I didn't want to bother you with this, but Titan 4 insisted. We found something, boss, Titan 4 says, her face appearing in a new window on your display. It's a container marked top secret. It's sealed tight and none of us has the clearance to open it. I'd wager pretty safe odds that somebody considered this thing important. Whatever it is, it weighs something like 500 metric tons. We'll need 2 of us to lift it. Asadi shakes his head. I don't want to waste our time dealing with this, not when we could still be hunting for enemy stragglers. Titan 4 purses her lips. Our fight with the Imperials did a lot of damage to the complex. The place is falling apart. We may not have a chance to retrieve it later. Einstein Asadi sighs. Your call, boss. Yeah, I gotta get that box. Hell, it's loot. You kidding me, Asadi? We're gonna forego loot? Asadi does not know me very well. Asadi jumps forward in his seat. Boss! You shake your head at Asadi's protests. No, I want this box to take priority. From the other window, Titan 4 nods. Got it, boss. We'll move this thing to the surface and prep it for retrieval. Titan 4 out. Your wingman gives you a dirty look before signing off. Titan 2 out. Loot! Exactly. I feel like Asadi's gonna, backstab us at some point. Pretty sure every single choice we've made thus far has been against him. In the distance, the crippled Imperial vessels lashes out furiously with his point defense guns, dappling the darkness around it with bursting shells, but the attacking machines come in for another pass, picking off gun after gun with precisely aimed shots. One by one, the defiant turrets of the wounded warship fall silent. As the cruiser's last guns fall silent, Caliburn and her escorts fling a vast salvo of missiles at the now defenseless enemy vessel. The attacking mecha back away as each one of the warheads hits home in a self-annihilating flash of antimatter. Explosions ripple across the stricken vessel's hulls as bodies and fragments of metal are blown free, shimmering in the light of death and the Vedrian suns. Section by section, the ship's plating begins to fold and buckle as the ship's variable mass fields begin to fail. Entire portions of the hull crumple like sheets of paper crushed by a gigantic invisible hand. Finally, a bright light emanates from the deepest recesses of the disintegrating vessel as it suffers a catastrophic reactor containment failure, consuming every part of it in a single violent flash of unleashed exotic matter. 500,000 metric tons of metal, ceramic, and plastic, 600 lives, snuffed out in the space of 8 seconds. Their target destroyed, the attacking mecha back away from the slowly spreading field of wreckage. One by one, they return to their formation to seek out another target, at least until one of them explodes. More out of morbid curiosity than anything else, you magnify your main displays, centering on the Allied force as they quickly assume a defensive formation. It doesn't help them. Their attacker, and there is only one, is too fast for them to catch. Lances of pale blue fire pierce the dark heavens, but the Imperial Mecha among them evades them all with a speed and grace that even your veteran skills would be hard-pressed to match. The enemy machine moves so swiftly that it barely appears as a blur of fire and metal on your display, twirling through your distant allies, monosaber shimmering in the sunlight. One by one, the codec machines are cut apart. Soon, all 6 are nothing more than burnt-out hulks or rapidly expanding clouds of debris. For a moment, you see the mysterious Imperial attacker, lit by the explosion of its last opponent. At first glance, it looks like a modified M403 Valier, a quick and versatile but aging model of the Imperial Mecha. It should have been no match for 1 Grenzer, let alone 6. In fact, you can see very little that would distinguish it from a normal Imperial machine, save for its striking blue and silver paint scheme. Blue and silver. You break out in a cold sweat and begin to hear yourself breathe hard as you recognize the Imperial machine's distinctive colors. They are the custom paint job of the highest scoring ace in the Imperial military, Commandant Camille Hawkins, the Blue Mask. The Imperial Ace's machine turns around with the grace of a ballet dancer. With a burst of flame from its verniers, it begins to move again towards you. You barely even have enough time to prepare yourself. The Imperial machine approaches with blinding speed. Your chances of evading or otherwise outrunning the rapidly closing Imperial Mecha are slim. A comm window blinks open on your main display. You find yourself face to face with a pale-faced woman in an Imperial's officer's pilot suit, perhaps in her late 20s. Her regal features give a sharp, noble beauty despite the playful smirk on her lips. A sky blue mask, fashioned to look like a knight's visor, covers everything from her eye to her brow, framed by her shoulder-length cascade of feather golden blonde hair. "Good day, pilot." Her voice is a measured, almost poetic contralto, like a warrior queen from an old drama. "I'm sure you know who I am." "What do you want?" you reply, almost involuntarily. "Want?" You imagine a golden eyebrow raising in question behind the inscrutable face of that archaic mask. "I suppose I shall want that white machine you are escorting, but ultimately, it is nothing more than a prize to be won." Hawkins' machine comes to a gentle stop just outside your weapons range. "Such a prize, I would request that you do me the honor of fighting for it in a single combat." Well, that was unexpected. Your options flash through your mind as the Imperial Ace awaits your response. Your tactical displays show only a few friendlies nearby, and all of them seem either engaged or clearing the area. It seems that none of them want to be the Blue Mask's next victim. With the ship of the fleet wholly focused on matching missile broadsides with their Imperial counterparts, they won't be able to come to your aid either. It looks like you are going to have to face the famed Imperial Ace alone, unless your allies in orbit may have no reason to throw themselves in the Blue Mask's way, but if you ordered your own lance up from the surface, they'd be duty-bound to help you. Your unit should be able to split up to aid you and recover the box they found at the same time. It would take them some time to reach you, but if you were able to hold off the Imperial Ace for long enough, you would outnumber your solitary opponent. Then again, Hawkins' insistence on your challenging you to single combat might mean she won't attack you if you were to refuse the challenge. It's a risky choice, but if it means avoiding a fight with the Imperial Ace, it might be worth a try. Lastly, you could always accept the challenge. Hawkins' Valier custom gives her an advantage that you can't match, and her formidable reputation as a pilot must certainly be considered. But if you were lucky enough or good enough to actually beat the Empire's top pilot one-on-one, the Imperial machine before you points the blade of its monosaber directly at you. "Time is up, pilot. I have challenged you, sir. How shall you answer?" Accept the challenge, but call up my allies to assist me. Oh, I mean, she's been good enough to be honorable. We'll be honorable. We'll see how it goes. Accept the challenge. I feel like we're gonna die. You only need a moment to make your decision. "I accept your challenge." Commandant Hawkins' smirk grows into a full grin. You can see her eyes narrow behind her mask. "And I salute you, pilot. You are courageous in choosing to face me. Now let us see if your lion's heart is matched by a lion's ferocity. Defend yourself!" With that, the Imperial Mecha rushes forward, its monosaber ready to strike. Moving faster than you had even thought possible, Hawkins is upon you. With a deft burst of your Venriers, you gracefully dodge the attack and turn to face the enemy machine as it comes around for another pass. This time, you are prepared for the enemy's blinding speed. As the enemy approaches once more, you quickly ask yourself how you want this duel to be fought. While you could certainly meet Hawkins' machine in close combat, the Imperial Swift machine gives her a definite advantage. You would need to either find a way to make up for the inferior speed of your machine or hope that you are able to read your opponent's fighting style to counter attacks before they happen. Alternatively, you could choose to fight at range, taking advantage of your opponent's lack of any sort of gun. You would need exceptional aim to hit a target as fast as Hawkins' machine from a distance, and nerves of steel to keep firing aim shots should she try to get close. Ultimately, you'd still need a powerful ranged weapon to punch through your opponent's armor at a distance. Although your autocannon is certainly a versatile weapon, you seriously doubt its ability to get this job done in this case. Hawkins' Valley Custom continues to close on you. If you are able to make a decision, it has to be now. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Shadow. But we might make it out of this alive, albeit maybe slightly scarred. When Hawkins charges in to strike, you are ready for her. As the Imperial machine's monosaber sweeps forward, your Uxbridge's hand lashes out, catching the other machine's arm before it can strike home with its deadly monomolecular blade. For a moment, the two of you are trapped in a fruitless grapple, each trying to overpower the other with sheer force of servo motors and Venier thrusters. Suddenly, Hawkins breaks free with an almighty heave, her machine following into a fencer's stance, liquid metal blade positioned before it. "Tell me, pilot," she says through the still open comm channel, her eyes intent behind her mask. "Why do you fight?" The question takes you by surprise. You think back to that day an eternity ago when you signed up to fight against old Earth. You had a cause then, a burning in your soul which drove you into battle. Does it drive you still? Yes, I fight for the same reasons. No, I've changed since then. I fight for a new reason now. Just shut up and fight me. I fight for the same reasons. The Imperial Ace gives you a look of undisguised pity. I was once like you, pilot. I once thought the only purpose of armed struggle was to protect those who could not protect themselves. The world has taught me otherwise. No human being is defenseless. Every human being fights, be it with weapons, her words, or her mind. To fight for others is to insult them, is to deny them their full potential as people. Hawkins rushes forward. Hawkins rushes for you again, her blade poised to strike. Don't fight for your loved ones. Don't fight for your homeworld. Fight for yourself. You examine your options as the Imperial Mecha lunges forward. In any other situation, the obvious choice would be to be aggressive, counterattacking, and forcing your opponent onto the defensive. But with a pilot as skilled as Hawkins, you're not sure if that would be proved to be the best thing to do. Of course, settling for a more defensive posture would prevent you from doing any damage to the enemy, but it would also mean that you could probably have a chance at avoiding damage to your own machine, provided you kept calm. It also occurs to you that you could use Hawkins' verbosity against her. If your opponent is too busy monologuing to pull all of her focus into the fight, it would be a lot easier to fend off her attacks. Lastly, if you are fast enough, or lucky enough, you might even be able to withdraw from close combat, putting yourself out of the reach of the enemy's ace's monosaber. Love yourself, fight for yourself. Good words to live by, Shadow. I think we could maybe keep calm. Well, actually, we're not. We didn't call our allies up, so fighting defensively isn't really going to work out too well to buy time. I don't know if our stats really come into play here. We are more of a diplomat. I guess that is something to say. We'll try and keep her talking. You duck away from the Imperial attack and try to distract her before she can strike again. Unfortunately, people skills aren't really your strong suit. Wait a minute, you shout, sounding far more desperate than you meant to. I have questions for you. Hawkins replies with an amused chuckle. I'm afraid they will have to wait. Your attempt to distract me with questioning is inspired, if inept. Perhaps you will have the chance to do better the next time you attempt to war with words. You will keep in mind your errors and do better. That is, if there is a next time. Before you can react, the Imperial Ace slams her machine into yours and grabs your Uxbridge's arm. The Valley's Customs hand darts out, tearing free the exposed linkages carrying power to your melee weapon before heaving you away. Without power, your plasma cutter is useless. You toss it away just in time to face Hawkins' next attack. Well, that was a bad choice. Attempt to withdraw to keep out of reach. You hold your position until the last moment before you dashing out of the way of your opponent's charge. With your X-Bridge's thrusters at full power, you try to get as much distance as possible before Hawkins can recover and chase after you. By the time you turn around, the Imperial Ace is far out of reach. Hoping that you have gained enough distance, you prepare your light autocannon as the Imperial machine advances upon you again. Well, we're not going to fight in melee. I mean, I can try to attack from a distance, but I think I'd rather just fall back, to be honest, because we have no weapons. And it mentioned before that our autocannon is not really the best thing to use. You manage to keep one step ahead of the Imperial Ace. Every time Hawkins tries to rush your mecha, you somehow get out of the way. Your duel becomes more like a dance than a struggle to death, each with their particular lunging and dashing and pirouetting out of the way. Despite your best hopes, Hawkins shows no weakness, no lapse in focus that you might exploit. The Imperial Ace continues to chase you with unceasing vigor, and you keep leaping away, knowing that you cannot keep this up forever. One lapse in judgment, one split-second mistake, or one stroke of bad luck, and the Imperial will be upon you. Before Hawkins can strike again, you become aware of an incessant beeping. It is only when the Valier custom pulls up short that you realize it is coming from the other end of your comm link with the Imperial machine. The Imperial Ace pulls back and sheathes her blade. Her expression is almost apologetic as she looks up to you. I'm afraid I must cut our dance short, pilot. The Imperial gives you a sad little grin. To interrupt our engagement pains me greatly. You are one of the finest pilots I've ever had the honor to face on the field of battle. With that, the Valier custom turns around and retreats for the fleeing shapes of the Imperial task force. I look forward to our next encounter, pilot. The space over Vedria is strangely calm as you watch the Imperial machine recede into the blackness of space. In the distance, you can see clouds of debris and bodies where the fighting had been hardest, floating almost toy-like in the microgravity of orbit. Only the dark shapes of the Kodak fleet remain. You suppose that this means your side won this one. With the battle over, there remains nothing left to do besides return your machine to the safety of the Caliburn's hangar deck. The last of your combat adrenaline leaves you... The pages are getting shorter, bad news. Yeah, I mean, just the way this story is going, it seems like this is the chapter end. The last of your combat adrenaline leaves you as you set your Uxbridge gently onto the Caliburn's recovery deck. A sudden wave of exhaustion hits you as your machine is slowly lowered through the hangar elevator to the airlock. You can barely stay alert as the telltale hiss of atmosphere fills the pressure chamber and the sounds of the hangar bay begin to filter through the quickly thickening atmosphere outside your machine. By the time the airlock opens, you are operating in a post-combat fugue, barely even noticing or recognizing the secured bulk of the white prototype Mecha as you pass it in the hangar bay and head for your own machine's berth. Your eyelids heavy and your breath coming heavily, you set down your machine in the maintenance dock. Your mind goes through the shutdown check slowly, as if it were swimming in mud. Finally, the last of your displays shut down, leaving your cockpit lit only by the small emergency lights on your suit. With a high-pitched hiss, your machine's cockpit slides open. The sounds and lights of the Caliburn's hangar deck assault your senses. You take a deep breath and pull yourself out of your machine. You've reached a checkpoint. Should you wish, you may save your progress in the story here. Perfect timing. Yes, I would like to save. Progress saved. Boom.